Hello and welcome to the Keto Man's Club podcast.
We're glad you're here, where each week we talk about men's health and lifestyle.
We do so with the foundation of the ketogenic diet and lifestyle.
If you don't know what keto is, stick around and you'll find out.
The podcast will bring you real, honest fun.
Each week we strive to uncover the tips and tricks that you can use in your everyday life to maximize your overall health.
Find the clearest path to becoming the best version of yourself that you were meant to be.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Keto Man's Club podcast. My name is Chris, and as always, I'm joined by Jim and Alberto. How's it going, Alberto? What's new?
Oh, just dealing with the sloppy weather down here. I finally got that blue that blue Porsche I've been complaining about out of my life. And in case anyone is curious, I can now tell you exactly what it costs in materials to paint a Porsche from black to blue. So if you guys feel like taking a stab at it, I'll be sure to tell you you're wrong.
a lot more than what you'd think, right?
Yeah.
Is it at least in the 5-digit realm?
Oh,
It's if you were to include, and this is nothing fancy, but if you were to include the labor all day.
Really?
So, yeah, dude, it's ridiculous. And this guy just had a black Porsche and decided he wanted blue. So there we are.
Okay.
Yeah. But other than that, no, same old, still running strong on this carnivore streak and still tracking, which is, I don't know, in my opinion, fairly useless on carnivore because tracking is a gamble in itself. Then you throw in slabs of meat and, I mean, you're only going to get so close. But according to estimates, I'm up to 3,400 calories and I'm still leaning out. And I don't really know if I feel like eating more.
Oh, you're a freak of nature. You really are a freak of nature. Jim, what's new with you up there?
I'm just going to laugh at that comment and roll with it for the night. No. What is new? Variety of things that I hope we get a chance to talk about some of the big news in the group over the last week or so in a couple of minutes. Other than that, actually a little bit of frustration. Been dealing with a couple different minor health things for the last few months and having some sleeping issues and whatnot. And I messaged you guys about it, venting the other day. I'm in a town where there is pretty much a monopoly on healthcare, and I'm not going to get into politics and everything like that. But I wanted to see a doctor that was referred to me by two different buddies of mine for similar issues. And the earliest I could get in, we're doing this in the first week of March. The earliest I could get in would be August. So roughly a 5-month wait kind of thing. And that just sucks. So I'm trying to figure out some workarounds and see if I have a friend who has a friend who has a friend kind of thing to figure it out and see if I can make my way through. But all in all, not too bad of life at the moment.
Very cool. Yeah.
How about you, sir?
Well, Texas is rainy, like Berto was saying. Luckily, I haven't had to leave the house much, being that I work from home. So the rain's been good for us. Lake Duckett this morning wasn't too terribly bad. So,
No, right. I mean, considering they were sounding like it was going to be like epic flooding, and then we just got like 5 minutes of hard rain. That was really about it.
that really was it. My dog freaks out over storms, and so that was kind of the most eventful part of it. Is she was hearing the thunder rumble last night or this morning, and was trying to bark at it, and we try to calm her down, and finally she'd come and sit down. Then she'd go and. She doesn't like fireworks, thunder, or anything that would maybe possibly be gunfire. So so it's kind of one of those things. And well, this is Texas, so gunfire does happen. It's kind of a celebratory thing for some. I don't get it, but that probably is because I'm an import, not a native Texan. Anyway, enough of that. So let's get into the news here because you're right. We've got some exciting stuff here. At the beginning of March, we have solidified a few things that are that have been in the works for quite a while.
Where do you want to start, brother? I don't even know. So, I mean, we could talk about KetoCon. Do we want to talk about KetoCon first?
Let's talk about KetoCon in a minute. Let's first cover the thing that's done and over with and what is on the way in the form of swag. Our shirts finally made it to mostly everyone, and there's a few stragglers that I'm waiting for final confirmation on. I sent out the fulfilled emails, so if there is anybody that hasn't received it yet, they should say, hey, you billed me and you said it, you fulfilled it. I haven't gotten it yet. What's going on? So I should get follow up from everyone soon if they haven't received it, and we'll make sure that they get them. So our, t-shirt number 1, that's out there in the world. T-shirt number 2, did we decide exactly on which design? Did we decide steaks over shakes?
Yeah, I think it's going to be steaks over shakes for sure. Now we're just trying to figure out how to not turn it into a multiple colored screen print. Well, it's going to have to be multiple colored, but how to make it as few colors as possible, because obviously if it's more colors, it's more cost, which means that we got to charge more, and we're trying to avoid that. So I'm giving him creative liberty, and he's just kind of playing with different options. And then he says when he gets a few down, he'll get them back to me.
Okay, very cool. So we will probably start on that pre-sale before too terribly long. We're going to use a different platform for it this time around so that it will be a little easier all the way around, including shipping. So that will be a good thing for sure to be able to have that. So that will be good.
And I'm going to chime in real quick. We had some guys in our group who, for whatever reason, missed the original sale. So those of you that are listening, you can follow the Keto Man's Club podcast on Facebook. You can follow our Instagram. The links are going to be in the show notes. They're all over the place. So don't feel like you can't find us. But we'll put information up for any of our listeners or whatever to have the opportunity to order a shirt as well. So don't feel like it's only for men in the groups, the private groups on Facebook. If you're listening to the podcast, you are absolutely eligible to get a t-shirt as well.
Absolutely. So the t-shirt number 2 will come soon, and I'm not sure. We own the screen print essentially for shirt number 1. We may decide to do a limited run or of number 2 as well, or of number 1 as well. But for those that missed it, but we'll see when we get there. We're still working out on some of those details. So let's talk about our legal news.
So when the Keto Man's Club started back 3 years ago, as we mentioned a few moments ago, this was just kind of a Facebook group and chatter and whatnot. And obviously we've got a podcast now. We have our new subgroup, TKMC Beginners, on Facebook that's growing every day. Our main group, the Keto Man's Club, has 33, almost 3,400 members now from truly across the globe. And there's a lot of stuff that we have been working on behind the scenes, some new things that we hope to bring in the next 6 months, year, and maybe even beyond that as well. So the Keto Man's Club is now a legal entity. I've got the paperwork finalized this week, and so we're going to do some trademarking and things like that, which is exciting stuff. It's not for a profit, if you will, but simply to protect what we as a group, what the members have contributed and whatnot, just kind of protect the name, the reputation of the program and such. And we're going to have some hopefully cool things happening in, like I said, in the next few months. And it's just one of those CYA type things that has to be done periodically. So, so that's another really cool thing. I don't think I have to pay taxes on anything at the moment. So I'm excited about that.
That would be good. Good.
Yeah. Those of you that are CPAs out there, just disregard the last 90 seconds. Just move on. You didn't hear anything.
T-shirt
forward through that part of the show.
T-shirt number 1 did not make that much money. We've got exciting things with that front, and it will be good to make sure that we own these properties the way that need to be, so that they can be protected and preserved and built on a solid foundation. So that will be an excellent thing going forward. Then lastly, Chris from the future here. Just wanted to real quickly mention that this particular section coming up, we didn't really know that the coronavirus is going to be as impactful as it was, and we didn't yet know that KetoCon was going to be rescheduled for 2021. At this point, for those who already purchased tickets, you're good for 2021. Now just need to make sure that you make arrangements with whoever you got hotel tickets or plane tickets or whatnot, to see if you can get those deferred to a different time, things like that. There's been lots of organizations that have been working out deals on all of that, just to make sure that they do right by their customers as best as possible. I just spoke with the organizers of KetoCon actually yesterday. and they have some exciting things coming for 2020 that are still in development, but that if you purchase a ticket to KetoCon and are going to be able to attend 2021, you're also going to get access to what 2020 it has in store for it. Again, there are a lot of details still to be worked out, so stay tuned. We'll make sure that you're aware, but there are quite a few things that they are doing right now to make sure that even 2020 isn't going to be completely a wash. So while we hate to miss out on the opportunity to be able to be on the showroom floor, as you'll hear in a second, and record a podcast here this year, there at KetoCon, we will continue to do everything that we're doing, and we love the folks over at KetoCon, Robin, Brian, Rekka, the whole Keto Evangelist crew, just all of them. They're great people, and by all means, we support them and love them, and they've got our vote. So I'm going to go ahead and return to our previous conversation, but take all of this with a grain of salt that this was recorded in the past before the COVID-19 thing became quite as big of a deal as it has become, and all of that. Anyway, we'll move on now. We've got KetoCon coming up, and the reason that that's exciting, other than the fact that we're all really excited to get to hang out with everybody, is that we have been invited. We're on the schedule even for everybody to see that we will be recording a podcast live on the showroom floor of KetoCon. They have actually, they're setting up a...
Can I just say that my stomach just turned a little bit when you said on the showroom floor? How freaking cool is this? Yes.
It's so it's got to be really, really fun. We're going to be able there. It's my understanding from the information that I got from Robin and the organizers that, we will have an hour and a half time slot. I've already talked with Jim and Alberto about what we want to do during that time. We'll probably talk more about that at a later time once the details on it become locked in. We have our guests set up for that. But we're going to be able to have an audience, I think, but we'll be in a semi-soundproof space so that we can record quietly and have good quality, while at the same time be able to have people looking on and like interact with some of our audience at the same time. So it's going to be really, really cool. And the other cool thing about that is that we'll be in that time frame after the main convention is done for the day, before the showroom floor is actually closed. So there's actually going to be plenty of time for men and women and anybody who wants to watch to be able to huddle around. There's a cooking demo at the same time. That's like the only thing competing with our time. So it's going to be really cool to get to see that and be able to do that right there at the tail end of the day on Friday at KetoCon. So if you haven't gotten tickets to KetoCon, there are still tickets available. We have a link on our website, theketomansclub.com, where you can buy tickets. They're still discounted, and at least somewhat discounted, until the end of March. At the end of March, they go up, and they'll be full price all the way through to KetoCon. So now is the time to move if you have not already. There's also on the Facebook group there for KetoCon, there have been some people that had early bird tickets that can no longer come, and they've been selling and trading and things like that. So there are some options there as well, but they're very, very limited. I'm pretty sure that they're getting scooped up very quickly. So that's KetoCon. Any other news? We hit 3,300, right?
Yes, we've hit 3,300 in the group, and I just added a bunch more, so we're closing in on 3,400. Two other things with KetoCon. Alberto is going to be also part of a panel discussion.
Yes.
At the event on fitness. You want to share a quick little bit about that, sir?
Yeah, I want to encourage everyone to go ahead and go to KetoCon's website and look at the schedule, so you see the names of all the people are going to be up there, because it's quite a few people. Yeah. And then there's going to be this guy.
You're first on the list, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I'm guessing it's
I think we're going to have a cheering section for you. We may bring pom-poms or put your face on a stick and just wave it in the air kind of thing. No, we're fans of Alberto.
When I saw that and when I was thinking about that, I was like, we're just going to have a whole bunch bunch of guys doing the whoo thing, you know.
Out cheer everyone.
Yeah,
It
pretty
should
much.
be interesting because I by no means I am not a health professional. I am not a fitness expert. I do not make my money working out or spend full time amount of time in the gym. Like I've said before, I help automotive painters make more money. That's what I do for a career. And what I look at it is the takeaway is this: is if this dumb car painter can figure it out and get on stage with all these professionals, there's really no reason why you can't either.
Yep, pretty much. And you're up there for a reason, not just because we know the people that organize it and whatnot. You've made a name for yourself, and you're doing amazing things in healing your metabolism, and then using that to do some just your body's.
Let's just call them physical feats.
Yeah, physical feats, freaks of your body's just a freak of nature, and it's an awesome thing. So that should be, you should be able to provide some interesting point of view there in that panel. Fellow member Mike Gorman is also going to be on the stories panel on Sunday, and that's going to be really good. So if you weren't planning on staying until the end of KetoCon on Sunday afternoon, you need to and support our man Mike Gorman, because he is going to be there, and he definitely has a story to share. So that's going to be really good. The other thing, Jim,
I'm so excited about this. So we did this little push the last week of February, and if you follow us on social media and whatnot, you probably were getting annoyed by the fact they're like, "Hey, go download an episode. Hey, go download another episode. Hey, go download one more episode." Leap Day. This whole the last week and a half has just been like a moment for the Keto Man's Club in so many different ways. So we have crossed 20,000 downloads for our show. We are not even in our first complete year. I was looking back through the archives a little bit, and about 6 months in, we had hit our 10,000. So 3 months later, we are at 20,000. We have the reviews just keep growing. The number of people who are impacted by the stories of the guys that come on the show and talk about their lives and talk about their successes and their challenges. So many different things. It's just been incredible. We got a shout out this week from Danny Vega on Instagram. Hey, go check out his episode of the Keto Man's Club podcast. But yeah, 20,000 downloads. It's awesome. Thank you to all of the of our listeners who have just supported us in ways, just either listening or sharing it, whatever the case may be. It's awesome.
Yep, agreed. We've got
a special shout out to Berto's mom, who I know downloads like 14 times a week
and shares every episode.
And I love it. I cannot wait to meet Mama, just to give her a hug and say thank you.
She'll love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, it's been an exciting week on all fronts there. If our listeners can't tell, we've got a lot going on. That's for sure. Okay, so let's. We do have a guest, and
believe it or not,
he's been patiently.
We've been talking for so long. Yeah. I feel bad for the guy.
Well, we're going to get into his story and give him his due time as well. He's got an interesting story. Berto, would you do the honors?
Yeah, so this will be interesting because I just kind of blindly reached out to him, and he decided to partake and be on our show. And I mean, there's transformations that we've all talked about. This guy's transformation is a little bit different and extremely interesting. We literally, other than his name is Dan, know nothing about him. I stumbled across him on Instagram, probably just because of the way Instagram works. But we should just let him get going. Dan, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
So
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem at all. So I'm under the assumption that you're carnivore, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay, so let's go ahead.
It's been about a year now that I've been quite strict carnivore. Anytime I deviate, it seems to kind of come back and bite me. So just been trying to stay disciplined as possible.
And your version of carnivore, are you red meat carnivore? Or are you just kind of eggs, everything included, butter, cheese?
Yeah, no, I can't do eggs. Eggs would kind of make me break out. I'm not sure. Like a lot of people say they can't really handle the whites of the eggs. So I might be able to handle the yellows, but I haven't really tried that specifically. Can't do dairy really at all. Even pork seems to set me off. So it's basically just beef, fish, and chicken.
So let's real quickly, let's rewind quite a bit because we're kind of I don't want to dive too far into the deep end. Let's explain kind of a little bit of your background. Where are you in the world, and then kind of give us a little bit of the ramp up into finding carnivore, because I that's the part of the story that's completely a mystery from looking over your Instagram and whatnot. I want to know more about how you got to the point where you gave up the things that you gave up and pursued carnivore.
Okay, yeah. Well, I've always had like a bit of eczema, like pretty much going back to when I was a kid. Never really paid much attention to my diet, just kind of ate like whatever I felt like type thing, which was usually like, KFC and chips.
Mm-hmm.
So not exactly a healthy eater for many years. And I started, my eczema was pretty bad when I was growing up, but it kind of went away after a while. And it was fine for quite a few years, and then it started kind of cropping up again when I was, I don't know, around 2012 or 2010, I think, around there. And so I went to a walk-in clinic, and they prescribed me with, they said it was like atopic dermatitis. So they just gave me some corticosteroids, topical corticosteroids, Betaderm was what it was called. It gave me quite a big helping of it. And so I filled that prescription. The pharmacist actually kind of looked at me and was like, you should be careful with this because this can thin out the skin. And I was like, okay, sure. Didn't really think much of that. Just kind of thought he was, just kind of covering his bases. So I went home, used that. It said apply as needed, So I started using it like where I had outbreaks. And then after a while, the outbreaks kind of started moving to different parts of my body. So I was just kind of chasing it all over. So before too long, I was kind of using it everywhere. And it was just kind of getting worse and worse as time went on. And then eventually I went to, I got my actual GP. Like, this other doctor was just a walk-in clinic doctor. I got my actual GP to take a look at it, and he prescribed me with clobetasol, which is a stronger topical steroid. I used that all over, and I used that for about 6 weeks. The Betaderm I used for over a year. I'm not really exactly sure of the exact time frame that I used it. I just kind of used it as needed, like the bottle recommended. So then I used the clobetasol. I used that for about 6 weeks, used it all over. It suppressed all of my symptoms. But then when I ran out of it, I had a massive rebound flare that was unlike any eczema that I'd ever experienced in my life, and couldn't sleep at night. I had like really intense like itching, like a lot of people describe it as a bone deep itch. Insomnia, chills, exhaustion, joint pain. Like it looked like I kind of had like a chemical burn. It felt like a sunburn, like a sunburn that just wouldn't ever go away. And I was just up one night. I couldn't sleep. I was on Reddit, I think, and on they have an eczema subreddit. So I was kind of looking for some answers there. I came across a video with this doctor, Dr. Rappaport. He's a dermatologist, and he was doing this video about topical steroid withdrawal and addiction. So if you use these drugs for more than like a few weeks, your skin can become addicted to it, because they don't really do anything to stamp out the root cause of what's causing your skin problem. They just treat the symptom. So they'll just suppress the inflammation for a little bit, but then once you stop, it's comes back, and it also ends up kind of thinning out your skin, like the pharmacist said to me. Then I started looking into this topical steroid withdrawal, and it's like pretty horrendous. Like all those symptoms that I mentioned, along with like swollen lymph nodes. The worst part is like your skin's just oozing all the time. Like it's oozing fluid nonstop. So like I was like constant, like I could barely even sleep at night without putting like some kind of like cotton swabs or something to kind of stop the oozing. And then in the morning, it's like I'd have to rip all those off, which was pretty painful. And then I was taking like Epsom salt baths and stuff like that, oatmeal baths, to try and kind of calm my skin down a little bit. But it was I pretty much had to drop everything in my life and just kind of like, deal with this. And yeah, that lasted for about 4 or 5 years. That I'm still kind of dealing with some of the symptoms of it, but it's not like it was. But yeah, around that time, like me and my girlfriend, she's my wife now, we kind of started figuring that diet was probably at the center of this. So we started really addressing like gut health and stuff like that. And we basically tried like every diet that is out there. So we started with like vegetarian and just kind of, we were eating like lots of beans, and we were still having like cheese and stuff. So we didn't go like super hardcore vegan or anything like that, but we cut out meat for a while. But then it just kind of we were just hungry all the time, and we were just finding it hard to kind of keep up with, keep like getting enough calories and stuff like that. So we added meat back in, and then we were kind of doing paleo. Paleo was kind of like, what we kept falling back to. We did paleo for quite a while. We tried, autoimmune protocol. We tried Whole30. We did keto for a time, but I think we were kind of dirty keto. We were having like lots of cream and stuff like that. And, yeah, we weren't really strict with it. But it was, a lot more fat and stuff like that. And my skin actually started like rebounding a little bit, when we did that. But then, we just kind of found it was kind of hard to maintain at that point. So we kind of went back to paleo. And then, I even went to a naturopath, and they took some blood and did a blood allergy test for me to check my IgE antibodies. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but they basically test your blood against a bunch of different food samples to see what might be setting you off. So I got that report back. I cut out all of the offending foods. I did that for about a year and a bit, and didn't really saw a little bit of improvement, but not a ton. And yeah, like it told me to cut out red meat and stuff. Like all I basically ate for a year was like salads, soup, chicken soup, and like shakes. And that was pretty much it. And so it was like very bare bones, but still wasn't getting the exact kind of, wasn't the silver bullet I was looking for. My hands were still really a mess. Like I had like cracks and cuts all over my hand that just, they wouldn't heal. And like my neck and stuff like that, like just basically anywhere where there's like a crevice or a line on your body, that was like a cut for me. And it just kind of hurt to move overall. So finally, after doing that elimination diet for a year of just trying with the allergy stuff, my wife was just kind of like, maybe we should just try carnivore, like just try it for a month and see if that helps. And I was kind of hesitant too, because it seemed kind of crazy. I didn't think it was like particularly healthy, but I'd been watching like lots of Jordan Peterson videos and stuff like that at that time. So I thought, him and his daughter were doing it and seems to be working for them, why not? So I did that, and within a month, the oozing of my skin stopped. My hands healed up. It was a pretty incredible change. Like it was unlike any other diet that I had tried. And yeah, it like within a few months after that, I was able to get a job again. I hadn't been able to work for like the past 4 years before that. So my sleep started stabilizing, like all this stuff it was incredible. Like I got my life back because of it. So yeah, that's kind of where I am now. I've been doing it for a year now, and yeah, it's just, I kind of like the discipline of it and everything. And it's been good.
That's amazing. And you took us through most of it. Let's dig deeper into some of the elements, because looking over your blog, which you have, let's plug that real quickly, just to make sure that people know what is your website, your blog, and what's your Instagram, that people can see visually the story that you just told us.
Okay, yeah, my Instagram is itchy.dan, or at itchy.dan. My blog is itchydan.wordpress.com.
Okay, very good. And it's really, Dan, you've done a very, very good job of documenting everything, pictures, monthly updates for the most part that I can see, and really doing a really good job of chronicling your attempt to take control of of your body fighting itself, it seemed like. And so,
yeah.
Now, I will say for us Americans, we pronounce it eczema. And so for for those people that got confused there, that's what we were talking about. That's what that was.
Right. Yeah.
But,
my Canadians showing there.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. We've talked with Brits too, so it's all good. So let's dive a little bit deeper. Alberto, do you have anything specific?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'd like to just anyone who shamelessly can show their progress in a similar fashion like you have. Like, I just applaud you guys because, I mean, obviously you've been having this for a while, and I think it's fair to say that it does have an effect on you. It does have an effect on the way you see yourself and the way you think, and how could it not? And yet you're still able to take the pictures, put them up there, and also on top of that, the handle Itchy Dan is almost too perfect because you read that and you're like, well, what's this? Then you start looking at the picture, like you can almost feel your Instagram name as you go through, as you start scrolling through the pictures. And I was just completely blown away. And one day I was just scrolling, and I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, man, this guy is insane. Like, he's just putting it all out there. He doesn't care. Then you start seeing the way befores where your skin was in real bad shape, and then especially the pictures of your hands, or you turn your hands over and it's like you've got like you're almost like 100% back, and that's amazing.
Yeah,
and just to think that
I can't believe it sometimes.
And just to think it was food. So, and I have my own autoimmune issues. I've talked about it all the time, and that's why I stick to keto. And I'm currently on carnivore, trying to eliminate a few variables that have my stomach kind of doing weird things. But what was the feeling like for you? I know what it was like for me when you change your diet and all of a sudden things start changing for the better.
Yeah, it's insane. It was just like I couldn't believe it. Like there was times where I'd walk by the mirror and see myself and be like, I can't believe that like my face looks like this, you know, like it's normal again. And yeah, it's just been like I've kind of struggled with depression for a lot of my life too, and that kind of, it's not like it was, you know, like I don't really get that down anymore. It feels like, you know, I still have like kind of rough days, but you know, it's not like it's not hard to get out of bed anymore type thing. It's, you know, it's more, you know, you're looking forward to the day type thing.
So let me ask you, Dan, was the eczema something that was throughout your family? Because I don't really know where it comes from. You mentioned that you've been dealing with this for a number of years, but was this a genetic thing? Is this just the autoimmune? I don't want to say just autoimmune, but what's the history behind it for you?
Yeah, my mom has it as well. She would always complain when I was growing up that whenever she'd have like bread or something like that, her hands would always get bad. But I don't think she ever really connected the two. She eventually realized that she had celiac disease, and like I think a lot of it comes from that, you know. I'm trying to kind of get her on the carnivore bandwagon now too, to see if that helps her. But yeah, it does. There is a family link in there. Like I have a family predisposition to it for sure.
And then obviously you found some strong results and positive growth from all of this. Social media, obviously you're very well familiar and everything. Have you shared this with other people? Or, I mean, are you in like Facebook groups that deal with this illness or anything? And have you heard anybody else that's gone carnivore or even like on a keto style that it's given them some strong results?
There's been a couple people I've talked to that, they tried it and it seemed to help them as well. There's a few, there's like a topical steroid withdrawal Facebook group and stuff like that. I haven't been real active on there lately. After a while, it kind of got like a little bit depressing, to be honest. Just like, because like every day it's like you go there and it's somebody that's brand new to it, just talking about like how horrible they're feeling and stuff like that. So when I was feeling horrible too, it's like it kind of just compounded it. So I kind of had to stay away from that for a little while. But
sure,
yeah, I probably should go and report my progress because it probably could help some people.
No, it'll go one of two ways. I promise you that.
Yeah. People can be pretty touchy with diet suggestions too, so you never know what you're going to get.
Have you been in other keto groups on Facebook? Spend the next hour going on like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the many benefits to our group is that we don't do much focusing on which version or variety of keto you do. We just are men that do keto, and so there are not many overwhelming conversations regarding all of the minutia that could be, that does go on every day in a lot of other groups. So we're blessed with that. So you've obviously had friends and family that have seen this difference. You've gone back into the workforce. What's their reaction? When you tell them what seems to be making the biggest difference, are they shock and awe, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, they're pretty shocked. I mean, they're really happy. But yeah, like I have some friends that, that was kind of one of the best indicators too, that I was getting better. Cause sometimes I would be thinking kind of like, is this just in my head? Like, am I actually getting better? Like, this can't be working possibly, can it? But then like I'd see some friends and they'd be like, wow, your skin looks amazing. Like, looks like it's healed. Mm-hmm. And so like, that's kind of, reassuring. And then just telling them like, yeah, like I only eat meat now and that's what's working. And they're pretty shocked, but at the same time, it's like, can't really argue with results.
Yeah, that's what Berto says regularly, because people look at him and they're like, Yeah. There really isn't much that you can say about it. There isn't much that you can say. So you've built a following on your blog. You've built a little bit of a following on your Instagram. Are you having other people dealing with similar issues reaching out to you at this point, or is that the goal of trying to get the word out there?
Once in a while, people will hit me up. I'm a little bit hesitant to kind of give advice and stuff like that, just because I'm not really an expert. Like, I've done quite a lot of research on this, and I always am trying to learn more. But at the same time, I think everybody's different, and everybody responds to things differently. I think I know the gut biome is, it's so varied amongst different populations and everything like that. So it's like it's hard for me to give like exact recommendations for people. I think meat is pretty essential to a healthy diet. But yeah, like for the most part, I just tell people like, just don't eat sugar, don't like try and like limit like seed oils and stuff like that, and like refined grains, and start there mostly, and try and just eat like real food like meat, vegetables, fruit, start there, and then if you want to go further, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's up to them.
Absolutely. You've made quite the physical transformation as well. When you started this, you even commented on one of your early posts saying, look at this bod, this has to change. What has that been? Have you done a lot of working out to lean out the way that you have? What's that been like from your perspective?
Not a ton. I do like body weights. Like I just have like a pull-up bar and some rings. So I'll just do like some dips and pull-ups and stuff like that. My job's quite physical. I end up walking like probably like 9 kilometers a day. I'm not sure how many miles that is. Sorry. Yeah, I'm lifting heavy boxes all day. So, kind of get a bit of a workout in there. It's not like completely structured, but, yeah, for the most part, that's just kind of living life and kind of working out that way.
So numbers wise, like what was your heaviest weight? I know that it looked like most of your weight was the belly fat that a person would have from sedentary life and things like that. What did you start out with weight wise, and what are you down to at this point?
I think I was around 180 or so. I'm hovering around 135 now, which is I would like to put a little bit more weight on than that, but yeah, it's been.
How old are you?
5'10".
Okay.
Very cool. Jim, how about you? You've been quiet for a little while.
Well, I'm still kind of taking all this in and thinking about the eczema and the diet thing, because I'm thinking back to some of our other podcast episodes where we've seen the positive effects of keto on, aside from the normal stuff that we talk about, the weight loss and getting rid of mental fog and all those other kinds of things. The most important question that I would like to ask at some point tonight is, how in the world did you get such a freaking killer beard? Because,
that's hard to say. I just keep growing it.
Because I was looking at the pictures, like, dude, that beard is kind of awesome. So,
thank you.
It's all good.
It's my pride and joy.
Tell us a little bit about what carnivore is for you in terms of like your meal plan. What are you eating during the day? How often do you eat? How hard was it for you to adjust from the previous way of eating, so to speak?
Okay, yeah. It's definitely been like a long transition for sure. Like doing like elimination style diets that can be very challenging. Just because you kind of start realizing how addicted you are to food and how much of like I realized how much I comfort ate, which I never really thought I did. But then once you actually kind of start limiting like what you're eating, you realize like how much you actually do that. And for me, it was, quite a lot. And I'd constantly just be like kind of like replacing like different snacks with other snacks, So like I'd cut out chips and then I'd replace that with like peanuts or something like that. And then I'd replace peanuts with like sunflower seeds. And then now it's kind of like beef jerky. But for the most part, I usually start the day with like a broth, like a bone broth. And then I'll usually not really eat anything. I'll try and do like some intermittent fasting until noon. And then I usually bring with me to work for lunch. I'll bring about like 10 to 12 ounces of ground beef. Usually bring some like extra fat or something like suet or bone marrow to kind of mix in there. And then I'll bring a couple ounces of beef liver, grass-fed beef liver, and kind of just scarf that down and try not to taste it too much because I'm not a huge fan of the taste, but huge fan of the vitamins it contains. And then usually get home and then we'll either have steak or something like that, like either like sirloin, like we'll kind of slow cook it in a broth and then kind of have that as like a stew, or just more ground beef if we have to, or just kind of whatever.
beef and more beef.
Yep. For the most part.
So how did you I was trying to word this. How did you come to the conclusion that of what meats did and didn't bother you? What symptoms were you experiencing like when you realized that you couldn't do egg and that pork was bothering you stuff?
Yeah, I would just find my skin would kind of start oozing a little bit again, and I'd get really itchy in certain areas like my shoulders and stuff like that, and they'd get really red and inflamed. So yeah, that would always happen. Like it would always happen a few days after I ate whatever the food was that set me off. Which is the big tricky thing. That's a really tricky thing when you're trying to like eliminate food allergies is, you don't really get the symptoms right away. It usually takes like 2 or 3 days before they start manifesting. And then you kind of have to, that's why it's so hard to like add things back in, because you really got to like isolate every food and then wait for like a week to see if there's any changes before adding anything new in.
That's crazy. And so as far as trying to get the organ meats in, like we need tips on doing that, because everyone could definitely stand to eat more, and I sure don't. So if you could offer any advice on the organ meats and what your experience was with the organ meats, and are you eating them? Did you find a way to make it palatable, or you just scarf them down for the nutrition, or how are you going about it?
I scarf them. I scarf them down. I just like grin. Like it's not as bad anymore. The first time I had beef liver, like I wouldn't be able to smell it. I would just like without almost vomiting. So but now I just I'll bring some. We usually cut up a bunch into like kind of like little bite-sized pieces, as pretty much as small as we can cut them, and then we'll freeze a bunch of them, and then I take them to work, and I usually have them in a little Tupperware, and by the time I'm ready to eat my lunch, they've kind of thawed out a little bit, so they're not so dangerous, I guess, to swallow whole. And then I'll just swallow it with water, and that seems to be working.
Dan, you're making this real appealing to our listeners.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you can do a pate as well. Pate is a lot more appetizing for the most part, because you can kind of like put it as like a spread or something like that. But just more of a process. I'm just kind of lazy.
Oh, I know that smell, and that just does not sound appealing in your description. Rough. So
it does get easier as you adjust to it, but it's definitely, it's something I try not to think about it, and just try to I think about it like it's a slimy vitamin, you know.
I have some calf liver in the freezer that I did one sliver of it, swallowed it raw, slightly thawed, just like you were talking about. And I tried to go back and get the motivation to do it again, and I just couldn't. So
I understand, believe me.
So the and what other organ meat are you kind of mentioned some of it, things that don't come up on a normal plate. What are some of your other favorites that have come up and that you've incorporated that you may have seen a little bit of a difference because of incorporating?
Mostly just the beef liver. I think that kind of covers a lot of your bases, nutrition or like nutrient wise. We do heart a bit. We've been making pemmican with it. So yeah, we get we'll just kind of dehydrate it, and then we'll get like some sirloin or something like that, and we'll dehydrate that as well and make jerky, and then we'll kind of like grind it all up together and add some fat and some bone marrow, and then my wife puts them in these little kind of like cupcake type of things, and then we freeze that, and they stay good for quite a while, and then I'll bring some of those to work, and they're pretty tasty actually. And quite filling. And somebody was posting on Instagram or something like that that's actually what the Mongols used to live off of quite predominantly, back when they were conquering the world. They're basically just living off of pemmican. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That's interesting. That sounds a lot better than raw beef liver in a lot.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I had beef heart, actually antelope heart meatloaf while I was at the Keto Savage Complex, and
nice.
He has that recipe up on his YouTube channel. It was very it's a very different texture. He was hoping originally he was going to do a stuffed heart, but they had already sliced it into 2 or 3 different chunks, and and so it was kind of one of those things like, oh, okay, let's do something different now. And so it was really good. That was a time that I got to help filming on all that. It was good.
Yeah, it's a bit different texture of a meat. It's a lot tougher. I'm not a huge fan of it just on its own. But in the pemmican, you can't really taste it at all. It kind of just blends in, so it's nice.
You're gonna need a recipe for that.
Yeah, if you check my wife, she pretty much handles all of like the kind of recipes and stuff. Carnivore.Kelsey at it on Instagram. She's got way more followers than me. She's blowing up. It's crazy. She's great at like documenting all of our meals and all of our meal prep and like writing about like how we do it and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely check hers out. It's way more informative.
What about we talked about food. What do you drink? I mean, obviously water, but anything else that you
Yeah, just water and bone broth. That's basically what I've limited myself to.
How has, I mean, obviously we talked about the eczema and how that's impacted your health, but what else have you noticed going carnivore, as no pun intended, hardcore as you have? What else have you found to be the benefits of this way of eating?
I kind of like just the simplicity of it more than anything, because a lot of times, before when we do meal prep and stuff, when we were eating like paleo and stuff like that, like our grocery list would be very elaborate and long. Shopping took like, quite a while. We'd have to go to like 3 different stores type of thing to like get all the ingredients that we would need. And now it's just, you go to the butcher shop, pick up what you need for a couple weeks, and then you know what you're eating. Like it's that's probably the thing I like the most about it, is just the simplicity aspect of it. And then just the discipline.
And what I mean, we don't need to go back down that liver train. I've heard enough of that. So what is your favorite thing that you found to eat on this carnivore way of eating?
I really like ground beef. I eat it every day, and for some reason I just never get tired of it. As long as I put like enough fat in with it, it always hits the spot. Bone
so are you
marrow
doing like
has really
burgers with the ground beef, or do you even vary it? Or I guess I'm kind of going at the, do you need variety in what you're eating?
Yeah, I'm pretty simple. Like I don't really I'll just, as long as I'm full, I'm happy. So
Okay.
I usually just I'm a real big fan of bone marrow now. I never even thought about it before, but after we started adding it in to stuff, it's so filling, and so it's just delicious.
So I'm going to ask
And
a stupid question, and I'm prefacing that I know that I'm asking a stupid question. You go to the butcher. I've never done this. So when you go to the butcher shop, do you ask for bone marrow, or how? I mean, is that something that's on the menu, so to speak, or how do you get that?
yeah, they're usually in the frozen section. They usually have frozen bones, and they're about, I think, like $7 a bag or something like that. Or you can get them from the great thing about this diet too is you can get like quite a bit of stuff for like cheap or free, like, because nobody wants to eat liver. So it's like,
Amen.
$3 a pack or something like that. And then also a lot of times they'll just give away fat, like the fat trimmings from beef, like that's like gold to us. So we take it home and we'll make beef tallow and stuff out of it, and all kinds of uses that we can do for that. It's the bones are a little bit pricey, but you can make quite a bit out of them as well, because you can cook them and then you can scrape the marrow out, and then you can boil the bones and make a broth out of that. So kind of multiple uses out that you can get out of them.
Okay, I'm going to keep asking questions then, because now you're like, I'm getting into the ripple effect here. So if I go to the grocery store and I buy broth, is that not the same thing of what you're doing? Or is
I think it is. I'm just, I'm really like looking out for any kind of food sensitivities, and
oh, sure.
Basically the big thing that I've found is if I don't prepare it myself, I'm taking a risk. So like even like the broths and stuff like that you get like Whole Foods or something like that, like I'm sure they're fine, but they usually add like spices or something to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just never know unless I was the one that prepared it. So I just usually go better safe than sorry type thing.
No, it makes perfect sense. I was just trying to figure out, for our listeners who are thinking, this is kind of a new way of doing things. Well, if they don't, rather than jumping all in, can they kind of start the ball rolling by buying store-bought bone broth and things like that? That's what I'm kind of wondering about. Okay.
Yeah, like I would say it's probably fine as long as, like, I'm pretty sure I was metabolically damaged, or like had like some sort of gut damage where I just wasn't digesting things properly. So like for me, things like that would set me off. But if you're relatively like healthy and not seeing any symptoms like that, like I'm sure that stuff's fine. But if you want to go all the way, then cook a chicken, carve it, throw the bones in a slow cooker, and then add some water. Then you got yourself a broth.
Are you using an Instapot for any of that stuff to help that speed that along, or?
Oh yeah, that is almost always on. Yep, at our house.
Wow, I bet.
Those things are amazing. I just got one, so I've been spoiled because I've been making one of our members, John Lesko, who apparently I talk about a lot lately, actually sent me a recipe and for his collagen chicken bone broth, he calls it. And then I got myself an Instapot, and the first time I made it was in a crock pot where you gotta let it sit in there for like 48 hours, and it was good. And I'm like, okay, that was fine, but I gotta make this, every couple of days. That's kind of old, so I got an Instapot, and then 3 hours later, I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah. They had so many uses too. I mean, you can make it like you can make yogurt in it. There's so many things that you can do with it.
So and Alberto actually highlighted this in the group and on his Instagram, I think, today, that he had some money saving tips that he found when he went, I'm sure, to our local meat market here in Hutto, Texas. What are some of those? You've kind of mentioned them already, but what's kind of the way to make this? Because I know, like, everybody I know says, well, vegetables are cheap, meat is expensive. How do you afford to eat meat all the time? So how do you afford to eat meat?
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty expensive. But I mean, I got to do what I got to do. So we kind of just make sure to put our money towards that. I think I've been trying to track our how much we're spending overall. And for the most part, we spend about $20 a day, I would say, to eat, which isn't too bad. I think I was spending probably around the same amount like in previous diets as well. When I was eating like junk food, like forget about it. Like I usually go to Wendy's like at least once a day. So there's like $15 right there. So it's not too bad overall. I think the big thing with eating meat is you don't need to eat like as much to get as full. Whereas when you're eating like vegetables and stuff like that, it's usually like you kind of want to eat more to kind of fill up and get satiated. Whereas if you eat a steak, it's like you're usually good, you know? So it kind of works out pretty good that way. But some other like money saving things, like if you ask for beef trimmings or fat trimmings from like your local butcher, they'll usually just give you them for free because they're just going to throw them out anyway. I don't know how much longer that's going to last. If more people keep jumping on this carnivore train, they're probably going to have to start selling it. But for now, it's good times. We go to Costco quite a bit, and we'll kind of pick meat from there sometimes if we need to. I prefer to eat like grass fed if I can, but that's usually a little bit pricier. But I'd say go to your butcher shop for the most part and see what you can get there.
Yeah, well, and you also got to. Sorry, I just want to throw this comment in real quick. But you also, because it's almost the same for me. I go in and out of carnivore, which now I consider myself extremely lucky, like compared to you. But I mean, you also got to consider quality of life. Like, is it cost a little more money? Like, yeah, but what is your quality of life worth? You know,
exactly.
And when you put it in, for me personally, like the amount of money I was spending on medications every month that I'm no longer spending money on, like you got to factor that in too. Like, I live a normal life now. I'm not chained to a bathroom like a lot of people that have the same thing that I have are. And you can't put a price on that. It's just, to live a quote unquote normal life. Like, I don't care if it would cost me twice as much. I would figure out a way to make it happen.
Yeah. And if you're taking medications and stuff like that too, I mean, they aren't usually that cheap, right? So, and they usually come with a bunch of side effects that end up, sometimes in my case, the side effects were worse than the original affliction. So
yeah. I mean, and the way I always tell people too is like, look, I mean, it's a diet change. If you look at the side effects of the pills they got you on, a diet change, I promise you, is going to have less side effects. Like I think to me, it's. I mean, I'm sure for you, it's an easy decision. Some people struggle with this kind of thing, but like to me, it's such a simple decision. Like, why would you not try it? Like, it could be so simple if you gave it a shot.
Yeah, it's definitely, you kind of gotta. Everybody's, I think's got to get there on their own type of thing, where it's just you get fed up with being, in pain or discomfort or whatever. You just got to get fed up with it, and then that's like the only thing that's gonna kind of snap you out of it to try something new.
So let me ask you one more question here. Talking about you obviously are doing great things for yourself. And as you mentioned, you're doing it at home. What do you do when you go out? What do you do when you go on vacation? What do you do if you're gone away for a weekend or something like that? You food prep as best you can, I'm sure, but there's some instances where you can't do that.
Yeah, I'm definitely a lot more boring than I used to be. When I was making this like change initially, I basically just became a hermit and quit drinking and all that stuff. So kind of had to, limit a lot of my going out with friends and stuff like that because I would just end up kind of relapsing and, making bad decisions. So, I had to kind of step back from all that and kind of like just change all my habits and everything. When we go on vacation and stuff, we'll usually, we'll bring like a hot plate or something like that, or if we can't find one, we'll bring one. And then we'll just like go to, like a butcher shop or whatever, and then just like grab some steaks and then cook them up on the hot plate. We discovered last time we went to the States, we went to Fogo de Chao, and that was insane. It was like the best thing ever because they just bring you meat on skewers and a lot of people fill up on the salad and stuff like that. They looked at us like we were crazy because like they just kept bringing us meat and we were just like, yep, come on, more. But it was great. It was a bit pricey, but we were very satisfied.
Yeah, people like Alberto and you guys probably can actually make your money's worth on a Fogo trip. Yeah. I attempted when we had a keto meetup here in the area. I went to the one here, it's about 5 minutes from my house actually, and I ate all the meats as much as I could, and had a lovely conversation with Chris Irvine, which was excellent as well. But yeah, it was a great time. And those types of restaurants are amazing, but yes, they're not cheap. That's for sure. That's a every once in a while type place. Well, I think that's pretty much all the questions I have. Did we miss anything? We really didn't dig into a lot of the side effects. You kind of glazed over them pretty quickly and probably don't want to dwell on them any more than necessary. But the steroids were not good. It's safe to say that much. The steroids were not good term.
Yeah. They're pretty powerful for sure, and it kind of it sucks when you have like a skin ailment like that, because I don't think they really know. I don't think like they really know how to treat it at all. They're just trying to like get rid of the symptoms. So they keep treating the symptoms, but the kind of gives you more symptoms and kind of keeps making things worse. But then you just kind of get stuck in this medical flow chart where it's like, there's nothing else they can really do. So they just kind of keep giving you more and more corticosteroids until you're on prednisone forever type thing.
Oh, geez.
And every dermatologist I went to, I've seen about like, a handful, like probably more than 5. And every one of them gave me the same options where it was like, you can either do, the corticosteroids, we can put you on immunosuppressants, or we can give you UV therapy, or we can give you like experimental JAK inhibitors that like kind of modulate your immune system as well. And, they don't even know really what the long-term side effects of those things are going to be yet. So you're really kind of rolling the dice. And I tried UV therapy. It was horrible for me personally. It works for some people, I think. I think that's the least invasive of all of the things that they can offer. But that was one thing, a symptom I forgot to mention was I had extreme photosensitivity, where if I was out in the sun for about like 10 minutes, I'd just burn all over, and it would just I'd be a mess for like a week after that. So I was kind of living a vampire like lifestyle for quite a while.
As a redhead who will turn into a lobster if I go to South Padre for more than 5 minutes, I totally understand. There must be a hole over the ozone in the ozone layer that like focuses on South Padre, because I've never burned the way that I did in South Padre anywhere else in the world. I've had bad burns almost anywhere, but those are especially. So I can understand completely that.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Okay, so we're going to get into shout outs here in just a second, but let's revisit how people can connect with you online, your website, which you stopped updating the website a while ago, but you continued to update your Instagram. So give us both again real quick.
Yeah, the website's itchydan.wordpress.com. I kind of stopped doing updates there. I kind of just moved everything over to Instagram. I just find it's easier to kind of get things, pictures from my phone to the internet quick, and I can still write like a post about it and everything. And then the Instagram is at itchydan or at itchy.dan. Yeah. I probably also plug, I'm a musician as well. So I should probably plug that. I have Instagram for that at Mad Lone Ruin on Instagram, and then also have a Bandcamp for that, madloneruin.bandcamp.com.
Very cool. I saw one of the video clips that you had of you playing on your primary Instagram, and it was quite good. I'm a guitarist, musician, singer as well, and
awesome.
And so I can definitely appreciate where you're coming from on that. And that post was to highlight that you couldn't do that for quite a while because of the ailments that you were dealing with. So it's great that you're able to continue to get back into all of that and re-enter life as it was before all of this became such a major. Thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate you coming on with us and sharing your story. I think that there will be a lot of guys out there, keto or otherwise, that will be able to find inspiration and the confirmation that's needed sometimes to say, hey, try something crazy. It might just work. And take your health in your own hands. That's a message that we're sharing on a weekly basis. Alberto, let's do your your shout out real quickly. I don't want to skip shout outs because they are really important, but let's go through them real quick and then we'll close out for the night.
All right, plug your ears on this one, Dan. Mine is just because it's obnoxious and ridiculous, and I do enjoy obnoxious and ridiculous. But member Tony Serrano, who found Rebel ice cream for 99 cents.
Yes, I saw those.
And bought 53 of them. Unnecessary and obnoxious, and I like it.
Yeah.
You gotta do that every once in a while.
Yeah.
I know people are preparing for the coronavirus by buying hand sanitizer and toilet paper and whatnot, but I didn't know that ice cream could be.
I would stock up on ice cream. Yeah, that would be totally what I could totally get behind that. Jim, how about you?
I have two. The first one is Craig Page, who is new to the Keto Man's Club, and he writes that I'm loving this place. I just wanted to share my 11-month journey so far. When I started to take life back, I was doing the butter guzzling keto style and walking around Planet Fitness, not even knowing how to use most of the machines. I crossed paths with one of our members, Zach Williams, and got some real science on fitness and diet. I'm looking forward to what this 50-year-old will do in the next year. He does not write what his numbers are, but he went from dad bod to rad bod. The dude now has abs. He's got a before photo. It looks like probably him and his daughter getting ready to play in the water and whatnot. And then the after photo is him up on a ladder, ripped. So a big shout out to Craig Page for making the big change, and a special shout out to our buddy John Lesko, who has a new baby in his family. So I just wanted to give a shout out there to John. For congratulations to him and his family.
Absolutely. And as of this recording, his episode will be coming out this coming up Monday morning. So it's kind of great timing to have his previously unnamed child, which was a comment that was, made during our recording session, out in the world and ready to go to KetoCon. So that's going to be
now they can get a ticket with the child's name on it.
Yes. Now
that's right.
Now the child will have a name on his ticket. So, and he's a cutie, that's for sure. I am going to shout out. He's in our beginners group, but I'm going to be encouraging him to join the main group. He's been at it for 6 months. He's lost 50 pounds already. He's got about 10 pounds to left, he says, and he's looking amazing. His name is Mark, and he's in the beginners group. Posted a Transformation Tuesday photo yesterday. He's done an amazing job. You can see him there, happy in both pictures, but lean, mean, and looking even more happy in that new body of his. So he's done an excellent job. So good job to you, Mark. You deserve upgrading to the main group in short order, because you're starting to master it if you've gotten that far doing what he's done. So great stuff all around. Any other business to attend to, Jim, before I close this out?
As we said at the beginning of the show, please get your tickets for KetoCon. Keep an eye open in our groups and on Instagram as we start preparing for the weekend down in Texas. We definitely want to get as many of our listeners and members of our groups together to do some hanging out and eating barbecue and chatting and whatnot. So we want to make that happen as best possible for everybody. So stay tuned for that.
Yep, we probably are going to put out a survey or some type of a hey, who's coming, so that we can get contact information, create a group chat, something, so that we can all stay in contact during KetoCon and all of that, and be able to have some level of organization surrounding all of it, because it's a madhouse going to that convention, and just having a simple group chat for the men that were there at KetoCon this last year, that were getting together, made a bunch of difference for us to be able to do that. And that group chat's still going to this day.
It is.
Yep. Okay. So the normal stuff that and I want to run through it real quickly. You can connect with us on social media. I'm Duckman Keto on Instagram. Jim is at Jim Inman Jr. And Berto is El Keto Cholo. There's the dot in there. And you can connect with us there. You can connect with us in the group. As a podcast, you can connect with us at Keto Man's Club Podcast. And you can also connect with us via email, ketomansclubpodcast@gmail.com. And if you just want to leave us a voicemail, it's easier to pick up the phone and call us. You can do so. 512-518-6161. You'll hear my voice on the greeting. I will not answer that phone. Sorry. It's just not going to happen. But there are a lot of ways to connect with us. Links to all of that. I just updated the links, in fact, and at theketomansclub.com. And so you can connect with us in all of the places there, including use the link to get from there for KetoCon if you have tickets to order. So definitely do all of that. Exciting stuff in the works. We are just getting started around here. Parting shots, last call.
Call that voicemail line.
Yes, call the voicemail line.
While you're driving, while you're walking, while you're running a half marathon, whatever, just call it.
I want 50,000 downloads by the time we get to Austin. I think we can do it.
I think
I
we
really
can
think
too.
we can.
I think we can. I think that's a good thing. That's only 30 more. And we got,
Exactly.
since we hit 20 the other day, like 3 days,
Right.
we're 500 up.
Mm-hmm.
So it could happen.
Yep.
It could totally happen. Okay. Well, that's it for this week. Until next time, make sure to eat meat, lift heavy, sleep, and repeat. Thank you for joining us for the Keto Man's Club podcast. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Would you help us spread the word about the Keto Man's Club by sharing with your friends and family? We're available on all podcast platforms, so just search for Keto Man's Club and you'll find us. If you would like to connect with us, you can do so a number of ways. Our web address leads to our Facebook group, theketomansclub.com. That's TheKetoMansClub.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Keto Man's Club Podcast. Lastly, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out via email to ketomansclubpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to hanging out with you again next week.